Cloud. Okay, 1:04, and we're going to start the meeting. We're going to adopt the agenda as written, no changes. I'm going to read the announcement. This is Mickey Rowland, Chair of the Historic Structures Advisory Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Brooke?
Aye.
Jason?
Yes.
And Angus and Lucy are absent. They're not going to attend. And no anticipated speakers or staff. So this is an open meeting of Historic Structures Advisory Board. It's being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. For this meeting, HSAB is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Participants can find information on that conduct of the meeting at that location. Note this meeting is being recorded and each vote taken will be by roll call. Okay.
Can I interject that I do have to leave at 3? Hopefully I'm not that long, but just in case.
Yeah, I've got a feeling
Sorry.
it's going to be sooner than we'll.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be enough time.
Okay.
But I guess you never know. All right. I'm gonna start sharing. That move to. All right, you guys see that? This is
30 Orange.
Yep, 30A Orange Street Garage, Reno.
Mr. Rowland,
Yes, Mr.
as
Beaver.
a Green Mountain Windows salesman, I have sold windows for the main house. Should I take a breather on this one?
You know, I don't think the windows are going to be an issue on this project, so I think that you could probably stay on board. We kind of need a third person if you feel awkward about that at any time.
I don't. I feel like I can give an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I don't think we're really talking about windows, except maybe they should be TDLs, but that shouldn't affect you anyway.
No.
So, all right. Find my notes. Just to get us started, I'm seeing that the 12 pitch. I don't know if we didn't see this before, but this came up with the HTC already, and they had concerns about the dormers, the size of the dormers. I think the original submission may have been full on with shed dormers. He's revised it to these 2 smaller shed dormers. But my feeling on these notes is that a couple people at least mentioned gable dormers because the house has gable dormers. And there was a discussion about it relating better to the main house.
Is there an image of the house?
Is it what?
Is there an image of the house?
No, I can do a
Actually,
Yeah,
there
but
is.
it should be
Mickey.
part. Is there?
Mickey, there is.
Is there?
Yeah, page 7. There's a 3D rendering. It's a good one.
Oh, all right. I guess that's good enough. I was looking for a photograph. Yeah.
I think it's more helpful, honestly, but
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there they are. Gable, small single window gable dormers. Someone on the HGC mentioned having the dormers on the front, gable dormers like this on the front of the garage. But I think that because the back really faces the house, it's just as important to have them on both sides. And they're both, you know, the Orange Street is right here. There's a pretty good hedge, but you see right over it.
Mhm.
So to me, it's really quite visible, you know, coming and going on Orange Street. So anyway, I said the 12 pitch roof doesn't relate to the main house or the neighborhood and should be reduced to a 10 pitch. All of the dormers are very visible and would be more appropriate if they matched the single window gable dormers on the main house. HSAB would like to see revisions. So how do you feel about these dormers in particular? Do you think they're okay as small sheds or moderate size sheds?
Sorry, go ahead, Brooke.
I prefer them as small sheds because I think that gables, at least on that side, would compete with the house. I feel like, I do think that the 12 pitch is a little severe.
Mhm.
I also think that, given the style of the building with the main house with the 4 square hip roof, does the garage maybe want to do that, or is there an opportunity to do
Yeah,
that?
I thought about that too, and
I'm not 100% on that, but
this is existing. It's already a gable garage,
mhm,
and granted, it's pretty low profile. It's pretty low.
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't have a strong feeling about it needing to have a hipped roof. I don't know if that it would nearly eliminate any space above.
Mhm.
Um,
The existing though is, I just feel like it's too, because it stands forward of the house, which is not typical.
mhm.
I just feel like the existing takes into consideration, and I don't, is there an age on the existing? I mean, I'm assuming it's newer, but
Yeah.
it doesn't overpower the main house, and I know the main house is very big. But it just seems like it's too much, and it detracts from, it's too busy and detracts from, I mean, I'd rather not have any dormers on it whatsoever, but
Yeah.
is it that one?
So here it is,
Yeah.
and it's pretty low profile. It's obviously
Yeah.
going to get taller.
Yeah, I mean, it really is also changing the streetscape quite a bit. Like, you don't notice it, and now it's gonna just, I mean, it's a full story plus a little bit, because now that, if that is that that little cupola thingy is existing, right? Because now
It
that's
is, yes.
the sky too. I just don't, I think it's too much.
I
I
I
might
know
be
what you're
more in
saying.
favor if it didn't have the dormer on it.
I think it's a lot, especially as a 12 pitch. I think by bringing it down, and I think maybe we could maybe present it more in terms of keeping the building low rather than just the roof pitch not matching. And encourage them to bring it down as low as maybe even to like a 9 pitch. Clearly, they're not going to be happy to lose the extra space upstairs, but that's not really our concern. So let's do that. Go ahead, Brooke.
I'm sorry, one more thought. So what about having, the shed dormers facing the driveway, which would only be visible in your rear view mirror as you're driving by or walking up Orange Street towards town. And then you have the gable dormers facing back towards the house and towards the drive out of town, just so that when you see that side and the main house at the same time, there will be that connection. But the shed dormers can, just kind of be on the utility side of the structure.
Well, I don't love the argument of viewing it mostly from the car, even though that's true. But you're really looking at it more carefully if you're walking.
Mhm.
So I think that you'll see it pretty well, obviously. In fact, probably even more so as you look through the driveway right here,
Right.
rather than. So I feel that it's better if you're going to have them on one side versus another. I'd rather have them on the front of the garage.
You mean the building, the house side?
No, when I say the front, I mean the garage door side, the south side.
Oh, you want the gables on the garage door side
Yeah.
and the shed on the, okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's good. Yeah.
And in a way, the sheds are a little quieter. They're a little more discreet.
Yeah.
And so I guess I could see. All right, so I'm going to suggest it drop to a 9 pitch. and okay with sheds on the north. And to keep the overall height as low as possible and discreet. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Jason? Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm gonna go to the next one, which is Two Stone Alley. Okay. More of the same. They have made some changes. They dropped, what they did is they made the rear, wherever it is, gable. I think it's now a 8 pitch. And before, I think it doesn't say, but it was probably steeper anyway. So they dropped the pitch. And to me, it lowered the, it accomplished what we were asking them to do. It dropped the ridge down a little bit. But I don't like the proportions of this rear gable. It's pretty flat and boxy and squatty. And then another thing that still displeases me on this is this view from on the north facing Stone Alley.
Yeah, no.
It's just,
They're
to
just
me,
obliterating it.
it's just too long. This is the original house right here, and look what they're adding to it.
Yep.
So my comments are dropping the ridge of the middle section is an appropriate and is an improvement, but the shallower pitch of that gable creates a squat looking addition. If the width of the addition was narrower, then the ridge would drop and the proportions would be better. The rear hipped roof addition is too long and extends the building too far down the hill. Shorten the rear addition by several feet. The exterior chimney is a character defining element and should remain. In general, this proposal would relate much better to the existing house if it was 6 to 8 feet shorter overall.
Did you also mention dropping that second piece, the middle piece?
Well, they've dropped it. Do you think it should be dropped? I mean,
Well, it just, you lose the roof, you're losing the roof line. It's such a unique house, and it's just.
Yep.
And on an iconic, public way.
Yeah, I'll mention to drop the ridge some more because it would be an improvement. Any other comments?
Yeah, what would you think about turning that more into like a where the rafters would be framed off of the deck, kind of like a cape? Hold the ridge line where it is, but that way, when you're looking at it from Stone Alley, you're not seeing that. You're seeing 3 feet less of shingled wall on the north side.
You're talking about right here to drop?
Yes, but you'd hold the point, or hold the ridge, and then you'd have, I think, the same roof pitch as what's existing. You'd have a smaller shingle field on the north side with the Stone Alley side. And I think that they could maybe accomplish, some of their program upstairs, just because the roof, well, maybe not, but can we go to the north elevation? Right there. So, yeah, so if that eave line drops down that 3 feet, I think that would be really helpful.
It'll make the dormer larger, but yeah, lower eave is good.
Yeah, well, I mean, the dormer could be adjusted accordingly. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Matt's got a good eye for that stuff.
It also just isn't reflective of the original house in any way. I mean, to me, it just looks like two boxes stuck on the back. I know I'm not an architect or designer. It's just,
Well, there's nothing really that wrong with the additions. The problem is that they're adding them onto a really small house.
mhm.
And the proportions, they don't relate that well. So it's hard to look at the additions and say these look awful, because I don't really think they do, but they change the character of the house. They just,
Well,
they're not,
you're also
they're too
just
much.
losing that side, that porch on the side. You've lost that you can see on the south elevation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're sort of mimicking that, and I even though it's a different location, I felt, they've kind of recreated it.
But you see how you lose like the whole, the way it's also just added on when the view of it this way, you just lose that whole original piece. Just
Yeah, the additive possibility, like they could,
middle.
you're right, Jason, they could have kept that feature sunroom there and then also added on. And I think it would have been a lot more appropriate just in terms of how buildings evolve as opposed to removing it.
Mhm.
And
And
then
we've
adding
been
it.
asking him to come this way too. I mean, you could, sometimes you could add a piece on this way, down, and then come out the other way. Because it's just blowing out the whole back. But
Yeah. Oof, it's a hard one.
I've got nothing really helpful to add at this point.
Yeah. All right, I'll try to digest that and come up with something. Drop the ridge.
see, from that view, which is from the south elevation, it's like, where's the original house? The only thing tells me where the original house is basically that porch kind of overhang thing. That's it.
Well, I'm not really sure what the original, this, as I recall, was a barn, right?
I think
An
it
old
was.
outhouse, which is
Yeah.
probably this gable. This main structure here is pretty simple. And then I forget her name, but the architect added these features, this projecting gable, and she also, in all likelihood, added the sunroom
Mhm.
to the south. So they were additions in their own right back in the day.
But now they're historic additions.
And they are. So is it relevant to say we're maintaining the character of the architect's original, scheme of things by recreating them? I mean, I think we'd all like them to stay in place. Is this reasonably acceptable, or we really want to be holding the line and say, put it back where it was?
I just don't think it's.
Well, here's a thought on the timeline of things, right? It was a barn, and then it was a house, and then it was a house with these additions on it. And then someone comes along, and then now it's a house with other additions on it, and things were removed prior when it was a barn to make it something else. So I think it's just the evolution of the building. I think that you keeping, like, I'm okay with it shifting there, but I understand what Jason is getting at, where it's like adhering to like a real strict interpretation of what additive actually means. But from a more design, architectural, evolutionary point of view, I think it's acceptable that the sunroom space has just really been recreated, off to the side. So, mostly for me, it's, we're never really going to see this side of the building. I think for me, mostly it's the stone alley side and the shingle wall that, you know, we got to figure out a way to make that a little less prominent.
Yeah.
You know, maybe everything just steps back a little bit more to the south without, I mean, obviously they don't want to go south. I mean, that is, which
Yep, they don't. That's clear.
that is clear, but
But,
you know,
but they're
they
being
can
told that
shift.
they need to, so shouldn't, I mean, if the HDC.
But if you shift
But
each of
there's
these
also-
masses, if you shift each of these masses more to the south, it pulls everything away just that much, just a bit more from Stone Alley, and then you reduce that shingled wall on that center connecting mass.
Mhm.
It's all going to go towards making it feel a little less prominent on Stone Alley. And to me, that's like, that's most of my concern. As for Union Street, I think that the 1-story structure is very helpful because it's not going to be in your face as you're walking down Union Street. So
I just still think that middle piece needs to drop a lot. And that last piece should turn to go towards the south. And I think that would make people a lot happier. And to me, as I understand additive massing, that would be more appropriate because it allows the original part of the house to speak and show itself rather than being eaten. So you can't figure out where the old piece ends and where the new piece begins. As an architect, speaking to architect designers, I would think that you would want your piece to stand out in the fact that you can see where that piece is and not that it's, you know what I'm saying? That you can see this is where the old piece is, this is where the new piece is. That's that architect's, this is my piece. But that's how I interpret additive massing, that it allows the original piece to talk. But anyways, I think we're keep beating this. So and that's massive when you look at it from above.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that it is too much. And it should be.
And they have
less.
all that space that they can go the other way.
Yeah. That's a hard sell because that's going to block their view. But they're going to fight that like crazy.
all right, I'm ready.
Yeah. I'll see what I can come up with and you guys can.
I can hear you. I'm just adding to my lunch. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, on to 1 Cambridge Street. So here's the face. So he has made some revisions from the last proposal.
Mhm.
Can't really remember what they were.
It's a
It's a shallower pitch.
shallower pitch. It was a 12, now it's a 10 and a half.
Yep.
And it's all helpful.
It's the right direction. It's really not much else has changed. I think you might interpret the trim as being a little simpler. What he's showing now compared to what it was.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I wanted. This is a little bit more Victorian Greek revival rather than just simple, exposed rakes running all the way down. These returns spiff it up a little bit. This is a fairly simple detail on the end here. I could live with that. My biggest complaint at the moment, we haven't really addressed this in the past, is this bank of windows. It's still, and this is now a restaurant. It's not like it's a retail space. I just think that, well, here's what I think. The trim and fenestration are still too formal and commercial looking for this street. Edge to edge glass does not fit into this area. The first floor windows should be a mix of conventional double hungs with perhaps a couple small commercial scale windows. The west cross gable, which is right here, is too overwhelming and should be more like a dormer. We've said this a couple times already, or at least once. The front proportions would be much improved if the plate dropped 6 inches, aligning the eave with the window meeting rails. Right here. That's what I got. What do you think?
Yeah, in terms of a restaurant with the plate glass, yeah, I agree.
I think it would be more
I think it'd be
charming,
more intimate.
intimate without all the glass. Like,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, a counterpoint to that is that the whatever what is the restaurant where Cambridge Street used to be? The one
Nautilus.
Nautilus. That's got big plate glass windows.
Yeah.
And that works.
Yep.
So I think it's I wouldn't mind seeing actually more muttons on those.
Mhm.
Shopkeepery type windows.
Yeah, maybe
I'm
not.
not in favor of most of this, but the plate glass windows that part is facing the
Yeah.
avenue too.
Yeah.
I think it should be something that looks more in keeping with like some of the shop fronts on Main Street, the windows and how those are dealt with. That are like, Brooke and I are agreeing on way too much. We have to stop. There are muttons, especially if it's a restaurant now.
Well, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing, that this whole band of windows is too strong. It should be a little bit more traditional in it, or at least Nantucket-y in its use of traditional double hung windows to some degree. But I mean, right now, well, where's the existing? Yeah, they've got these two and these pretty large, divided light windows, but they're not edge to edge. They're broken up, and I think that's okay. So they could, I'm kind of saying they should do something similar to that.
I agree. And maybe the gabled mast that we see on the street, that could be the area for double hungs, and to the left where the entrance is, that could be the place for the the multi-pane or whatever they decide to do.
It could be we have these already on that wall. These are supposedly existing or relocated anyway.
Yeah.
Would you then wrap those around that corner, or put the double hungs as you're suggesting here?
Yeah, I think the double hungs in this area would probably be, it would just lessen it. Like, we're trying to lessen the impact. I think that would lessen the impact. And then to the left of that, on the north elevation where that door is, that access point, that could be your your specialty glass, whether multi-paned or even the plate glass with the transom over it like it's shown, or something that is more like what's on the west elevation.
Yep.
So or actually the existing north elevation. Well, there we go. So
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was going originally. So yeah, double hungs. I think this would feel like a very traditional form if it had all double hungs.
Almost like a house that had a restaurant added to it, which is
right to the side.
Yeah, which is what used to be the case.
I could live with that.
All right. Well, let's see if the client and Mr. McEachern can as well.
Let's see what happens. Okay, we'll go with that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we have 25 India Street. This was a skylight on the back of this building. This picture is taken from Hussey Street. It's right there. Granted, this bush will grow out, but maybe not. And it's winter, so it's not there now. So it's visible. And as far as I remember, we don't like to see shed dormers or skylights, period, in shed, one-story shed roofs. So What do you guys think about that?
Is there a skylight on that house already? Or is that just a reflection I'm seeing at the bot? What is that? Oh, it's just the roof walk.
Yeah, it's just light and shadow.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's,
Well, I think if it's done well, it might work.
It's not glaring, it's not in your face, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's
It
kind
could
of
be natural,
backyard.
it could be painted gray. And I
They're all-
think that on the corner of Main Street and Pine Street, all the work that has been done there recently, I think there actually is a skylight on the lower mass, and it's boxed in wood. I can't be
Yeah.
100% certain on that one, but I know there's at least 2 skylights on the main mass.
I hate using precedents as an excuse for doing something we don't like.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know that it would bother me that much if it was done well or painted discreetly.
It's too big.
Oh, is it? What size is it?
I don't know. They said the opening was 45 on the thing that came up for a minute. We don't allow them that big.
Yeah, that's pretty big, 30
That
by
is pretty
45.
big.
Yeah. Okay, so not a Velux. How about we'll just say a wood skylight that's 24 by 36
Yes.
is acceptable.
Yeah, I could live with it. I think I'd still like to take the stance that it just doesn't belong there, period. But
Yep, I'll go with that.
we'll
fine.
say make it smaller. If you're gonna have it, it's got to be smaller.
Yeah, and wood and not Velux and not a cover over a Velux.
Yeah.
I hate those. And nice skylights can be built. This is an existing opening. There's no code that needs to be met.
Yeah, they're saying Velux wood box.
Yeah, no thanks.
Wood, not Velux. Yeah, I had basically said this is visible from Hussey Street and not where we normally want to see a skylight. Perhaps an additional window would add as much light to the room. I mean, why don't they just do that? But yeah, if they're going to have a skylight and the HTC allows it, it should be smaller. Okay. Next, 11 Pleasant Street. Okay. So this is Lucy sent pictures of this, and have you guys seen this building?
Yeah, it's obliterated.
It's yeah, totally stripped down. Have you seen this, Brooke?
11 Pleasant.
It's currently, I could,
Oh, yes, I am familiar with this building. I did some windows.
yeah. Are they, okay, maybe you know the answer to this. Are they replacing all the windows on the front of this?
So the front windows are all going to be custom built. I believe they are single hung true plank frame, and those were done by Nantucket Millworks.
So they're replacing every window in the house, it looks like.
They are replacing every window in the house.
Okay, that's already been,
That was approved long time ago.
yeah, okay. So we're not really talking about new windows versus old windows. It's really just the placement of the windows.
Yes, and I think that they added a window as
Right
well.
here.
This
Yeah,
house is very visible, and I believe it has, what is it? Does Starbuck Court go along the side of it? Or have I got that wrong?
yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And the other side. There's a little way.
Is there?
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like Starbuck Court.
It
or
does look like a little way, you're right.
I think it goes back to
Barnard's Court.
I think it goes back to the Starbuck candle manufacturing that backs up to.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. That's back in here.
So this house is visible on all sides,
It's totally visible.
but it is nothing left of it.
Yeah, I know.
It's, I don't know what can be done about that, but I was appalled.
Well, probably very little. So in terms of the,
For the record, though,
yeah,
to my knowledge and having walked through a few times, all the original sheathing, all the original framing on the outside walls is still there. The fireplace is staying there. I think that most of the changes are in the back half of the building.
But there's no chimney on these drawings.
yeah, I noticed that also. Although the floor plan does show them keeping fireplaces. So I assume that was just an oversight.
call
I'll
that
mention
out?
it.
Because that.
Yes, definitely
Bizarre.
correct the drawings to show the
Absolutely, yeah.
chimney.
I don't know what the previous drawings showed. We don't have previous.
So how about we recommend that any
Oh, we do have
approval
previous.
given should be contingent on the drawings updated to show the chimney.
Yeah. The old drawings don't show the chimney either, but hopefully they're keeping them.
Well, I can't imagine the HDC would have let that happen.
Well,
But people aren't, if you don't
yeah, sometimes things happen. So let's
notice
look at
things.
the new windows. So my comments were the south windows should be separated more. These things are just paired together, almost like mullion windows. So they don't seem to need to be.
And we don't have the age of the L, do we?
We don't have much. No.
It was on brick piers.
So I also said, and I didn't have much to say about the back. This has got that sort of peculiar porch thing. And a lot of it is hidden behind those railings and stuff.
Ugly.
Yes, it's odd. It is the back of a house, and some, the backs of these houses got a little funky over the years. This window I didn't particularly like. I thought that should have been
No, doesn't belong there.
that should be a double hung window, a full height double hung window.
How about let's go elevation by elevation here.
Well, I kind of was trying. Okay, so nothing here.
Nothing on the east.
South, I just said, what do you guys think? I just said separate these more because they're so closely paired.
Yeah, I like actually that they shifted the door into the corner.
Yeah,
I think that's helpful. And I think that extra window on the left, the furthest most window, yeah, I don't know that helps this elevation.
I'd rather either see the configuration as it exists. I just feel like we're blowing holes into the side of the house and adding windows just instead of we're making more holes and shifting things around. Why can't, if you're gonna blow a hole in that side, why not just put a single in that blank space? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that's less damaging to the building's appearance than what appear to be two doubles, but that's just my 2 cents. If I'm making any sense.
well, it's a fair amount of windows and glass for that wing. I mean, if they were spaced better, maybe 3 windows would fit better.
Which is what they have.
So they got approved for 5 windows. They're just reconfiguring those 5 windows.
It's kind of what they're doing. And it seemed like sort of a wash. They're just rearranging spaces. It's kind of hard to argue to tell them to have fewer windows than they already got approved for.
All right.
There's no existing drawings, are there?
No,
We're
there
just
are.
looking at all previously approved drawings, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we should have existing.
I completely agree. So west, they were moving things over, not sure why.
Yeah, I mean, and isn't that the original main mass that where they're moving?
This is the main gable. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't, I mean, what's the,
Oh. They're pulling those dormers away from the, or those windows away from the edge.
Yeah,
And that's what was there, that's what was there historically.
yeah,
So we can certainly recommend against that.
yeah, okay,
I'm not in favor of moving those.
Because it's a removal of fabric.
yeah. It's west. Okay. And they're eliminating this one. This wing is I don't know how old it is, but it's not part of the original house.
That
So
porch certainly isn't. And yes, that front wing is definitely new.
yeah,
It's all like 2x framing, I think.
And I'm not in favor of putting, I know you probably don't agree with me, I'm not in favor of putting anything in that north wall. Those big spaces were there on purpose.
well, just so I looked into this. Let me see if I can pull this picture up. I tried to find,
Did you find a historic image?
I did. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's, well, oh, is that the same house?
I'm pretty sure it is. It has a similar railing. I mean, there's a lot of similarities to it. I was trying to figure out if these two windows, you know, right now the windows that they're showing on that north elevation are really tight together like they are on the other side. And they weren't like that historically. So,
No, that mean the doubles. No, I mean, well, that's also, we're not looking at what the existing, right? We're looking at we only have the previously approved.
true.
So, and I can't think of, I
Yeah.
can't remember what it looked like.
But at least we see what was originally there, at least a long time ago. It
Yeah.
looks like there is not, I can't really tell what's behind this tree, but I suspect there's nothing. It's just,
Well, they could have added those windows too. I mean, I'm just thinking about, I often use Image House as a comparison, and that
yeah, I
have
can't show.
huge blank walls because they're pathways and things, so they don't have any windows in them.
So I don't know. To me, adding this window didn't seem like a big problem, but I didn't like the little window. And if you guys don't like it at all, then I'll say that. But
Like I said, I wish we had what it looked like before they
Yeah.
got approved.
Brooke, what do you think?
So the windows that are to the right of that 3/3, those were added probably sometime, I think, in the 1900s, which is why it doesn't look like what it did in that photo.
Mhm.
And so those weren't, those were just, that hasn't changed. That elevation hasn't changed. So the only thing that you'd be adding on that would be that 3/3.
Yep.
And,
Well, if
there's examples of odd little windows on the sides of buildings. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much.
I would, if I'm okay with a window there, I just don't like the 3/3. I'd rather it be a 6/6.
How about a small 6/6?
No, it should be the same size as all the others.
All right.
Does that work? And I know, Jason, you're not liking it altogether. So Brooke, how do you feel about that? Window or no window?
I think a 6/6, a large 6/6 would just make it would just feel a little odd.
All right.
It's already
let's say
unbalanced to that
Yeah.
side, to that side, to that right side visually.
to the
If
main
I
gable.
don't have a choice, I'd rather it be what's there being proposed there now.
Let's say no window. It may not stick, but at least it'll be consistent with was there recently and what was approved.
Okay.
All right, I'll change that. What else did I say? Yeah, and I didn't mention the chimney. All right. Good.
Yep, next.
Next, we have, well, on our agenda is 11 Holbert Ave, but we don't have drawings for that. That was turn stairs on the house. I really don't know what that was. So we really can't comment on it. So we'll move on to 10 Angola Street. That's probably here. So we've seen this one before. Currently they have, what's there is this door with a funny pediment on it. So it's probably a good thing they
got
were able-
approved for that porch.
they got, yeah, they got approved for that.
That is so visible right across the park. That door does not belong in that house.
Well, I agree. That was my comment. It's the wrong style door for this house.
That's like craftsman. That's not craftsman. That's nice.
Exactly. So I said perhaps a 6-panel door with upper glass panes.
So is that the only thing that's changing?
It's the only, oh no, right here, they're adding this little window.
Yeah. Fine by
Yeah.
that.
So are we okay with that suggestion?
Yep,
Yeah.
All right. And then after that, the next on our list is 10 Angola, the
Poor little Angola Street.
driveway change. So this
Which,
took me a while to figure this one out, but I guess they've subdivided the property. And they're creating a new driveway for the new blank property. But it's joining onto this existing ones. And what we're going to have is one big wide apron and 2 little driveways off of it. That didn't feel good to
no,
me.
it doesn't. That's nobody. Where do we have that? And also it's coming off of a tiny little historic dirt road. I don't think it's appropriate at all.
looks like it's already been done.
Well, all right. So that realize, yeah,
Seriously?
so
Oh my
so
God, I thought I
here's-
was looking at an example.
I think you are, and I didn't realize
Oh,
that at
okay.
first myself.
Sorry,
So here
need
is,
to trigger you.
I think this is across the street or somewhere else, showing a Shell Drive.
Right, but I think that those photos with the truck and the van are the house.
This is the house, because here's the door. So this is the house. And
They already did it. You were right, Brooke.
Yeah, they did.
so they've already got, and I think they show this is what's existing, this little piece. And they're gonna get rid of this stuff and create a whole nother one to the side.
Well, it's already there, Mickey.
No, but it wasn't like that. I mean, they've
Right,
done,
no, it definitely
the
wasn't. I'm not-
previous owner didn't have that like that.
Right, it's just been done. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Is that different than what's showing in this picture?
That's exactly it's the same thing as what's showing in the photo as what's being proposed in the driveway.
They're asking for permission of something they already did.
Exactly.
I don't think so. I think this and
Zoom into that, zoom in and look at how the apron flares.
I know that, but look at the I get out back to it. The apron already does this. You see that line here? And this is the dash line is what's existing.
Okay.
And they want to get rid of that and now make it a little bit wider and come
Oh,
down.
I see. Sorry.
So they're joining the 2 aprons. I'm just going to say that it's not appropriate to have these 2 aprons.
Yeah.
I don't even think there was an apron there originally.
I'm
was
also,
Asphalt driveway, I think. It wasn't a appropriate driveway anyways, but I think it was asphalt.
well, it is, and I think these photographs show that.
Right, but it was asphalt all the way down to the Angola.
Okay,
It wasn't, there was no
Yeah, that's new.
block there
well, how new is it?
because it was all where that truck is, that was all like overgrown. They've even, it was all like brambly and stuff. And then there was like a scruffy kind of yard and things like that. And actually, I think they might have dug away at some of the slope too.
All right, so you think they may have put that block apron in without
Yeah,
approval?
yes. I mean, it was much more steep, that driveway, than it is appearing in this picture.
All right, so we'll suggest that they
There was a
do
lot of stuff done. I think they might have changed the grade, the grade and stuff like that.
cobblestone apron instead.
I don't even, I technically don't, isn't there a thing that says we're supposed to have that? But I'm trying to think about the rest of the road. And I can't remember at that end who has like cobble or anything.
You don't have to have it. I thought you didn't have the cobble apron on a dirt road.
Only on tar.
So no apron.
No apron.
No apron and no double shared apron.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can,
Also, I'm also going to suggest that instead of doing shell as they're proposing, that they go with the pea stone, gravel, natural pea stone rather than shell.
I think there's shell and pea stone on that, on Angola. I think
Yeah,
they're-
but maybe we don't want to encourage a lot of shell in the area. They've gone to a lot of trouble up in the new subdivision to keep shell off of those driveways. And
Okay.
I think that's the right direction rather than shell driveways in the old historic area. Okay, no apron, separate the driveways and change to pea stone. Good,
Mhm.
great. Next is 5 Gardner Perry Lane. Again, we don't have drawings for that, as far as I can tell. Diane, do you know what they're doing there?
No, I don't know. We haven't gotten to it at all.
Okay,
And I don't see any drawings.
nor do I. All right, so this one is 7 Beaver Street. So kind of a large addition to the side and bumping up the rear addition on the back. So a couple awkward things here I think could be fixed. So I was saying on the west elevation, which is this lower one, the center window. So here's this window, here's the existing. And you can see the window is not centered on the ridge, but they're showing it moved. But they're not clouding it as if it's not a change. And I'm pretty sure the floor plan showed it not being moved too. I'm not sure this is intentional, but I'm bringing that up as a comment that this west elevation center window should remain in the original location, which is right above this one.
Mhm.
Also, the west addition is too narrow. It should be wider and project beyond the rear wing for a break in the west wall. So granted, we don't always like to see things bigger, but I think in this case, it would look better if this were larger and came out towards us more so that this addition, which I'm pretty sure is existing.
Does it have to come, you're saying move it more forward?
Just pull this wall towards us 6 inches, 12 inches to create a difference in these two wall planes.
Okay.
It'll give a corner board here and make this a little bit wider to make it just feel a little bit. So maybe
The only thing is if you make it wider, moving it more towards, see, I'm gonna totally interrupt you, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
appreciate
go ahead. I'm interested in what
so
you're saying.
far stepped back. I'm actually very pleased with that. I don't, although I would rather see it not at all on the original building at all. I would rather all the program go to the back, because again, whatever. But if you move it more forward, then you're gonna lose another original window.
Yeah, probably lose 2 of them.
Yeah, and so we're already losing 2, now we could lose 4. Like, I'll give them credit that it's more back. Because I mean, just the simplicity of the original structure with those, you know, it's just, I mean,
I don't disagree with the concept of losing these windows, but if they're gonna put an addition on, this is just plain too narrow. Like, that's just too much, too awkward looking.
well, why can't they just make it fatter on the backside?
Bring it down. Yeah,
Because they've already, that L, if there's any originalness to it, looks like it's already been chopped before.
that could work. Give you a lower plate to some degree.
Yeah, and actually it could look like a salt box, and the eave line could tie in
Mhm.
to the adjacent roof eave line.
You know, because you know how we have a couple, what's left of those few kind of like, I don't know, I call them, they're like a weird shot where it's really, really, it has that idea that Burke is saying. It's really, there's one by us here on Milk Street that's really, really tall at the back. It's almost like part of the house is missing.
Yep, yeah, it's an asymmetrical gable where half the gable's missing.
The dowry house.
I know what you mean.
I just I would, it would just be nice, like all the program went to the back, but at least it's not eating the whole west side of the original part of the house. That's
I like the suggestion of, maybe including these 3. I still think 3 is too much. Maybe make this 2, but have this be the width of the gable back
Yes.
to the back. Then we keep these 2 front windows, and yeah, that works for me. I'll note that as a.
because I'm actually impressed with how like low it is and step back, and
Yep.
it's just that it's such a lovely facade when you look at it. It just it'd be nice if all the program was just totally in the back, not on the house.
Yeah, it would all start on this edge of this window. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. I also said the new windows in the addition, and that shows up here, are too close. What did I say? The new windows are west and south, so both of these are too close together and should change to 1 window. These are just overdoing.
Yep.
And the new north gable should have a steeper pitch, so that's down here. This looks really flat. This should have a steeper pitch, and the hipped roof porch needs an exposed porch beam of roughly 9 or 10 inches of height. You can see this little sliver down here.
Is there any information about the L, the age of the L, or
No.
I see it from the rear? It looks much more.
Well, okay, she didn't include Sanborn. So here it is,
In 1909.
1909 and 1898.
Is that as far back as you want?
So it's pretty old.
Oh, wait, can you open the historic photo one on number 9? It's a lot smaller though, if that's.
Does kind of look smaller.
That's an understatement.
It might, yeah, most of the I mean, it's fine. I mean, most of the program could have remained in the house. They might not have had much of a kitchen now.
Mhm.
I mean, like what did we get? Man, what's the age of the house? Sorry.
Did she even
Is
say
it
1839?
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need a kitchen now either.
So getting back to these guys, I don't mind the porch. I like the porch actually. This hip that's a normal addition, but the detailing needs to be better for the porch beam in all respects. So just a fatter beam would improve that a lot. Stores are a little odd.
Just weird that there's nothing back there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
It's
much.
just a wall.
Yeah, what you'll actually see of this. Yeah, up on Independent Way, it's really blocking a lot of the back of this house. Those houses. So, any other thoughts about this one? Moving on.
Yep.
To 6 East Lincoln. This one took a little while to figure out. This, I guess, this was an approval that they got a long, well, I don't know when. 21, 22.
Can you make the pictures any bigger? I've lost.
Yeah,
down on-
so this was the original approval back in 2021. And this is the north. This side faces East Lincoln. And it does have this sort of awkward, very skinny porch, which they're proposing to remove. They're changing the doors and access to this building, but keeping the main roof lines intact. So here's what they're proposing to do. And I just think they need to clarify their drawings a little better. I think they're removing this and removing this, but they're not showing what they're putting in its place. Or are they? Here's the new front. So they're showing doors to either side, but they're not really indicating where the stoop is. So my feeling was I don't really mind what they're doing. I think it's probably an improvement, to be honest. But they need to show actual drawings that show what they're going to be building, because there obviously is a stair here. They just didn't show it.
Is this sitting on the ground or is it up in the air?
It's elevated. It's in the floodplain area. Where's the site plan? Is that the site plan? Here we go. So here's where it will be in relation to the street.
Okay.
So they're getting rid of the stair, this porch. They'll need some stoop there. They're getting rid of the back one, and they're putting a door right here, but they haven't shown also the stoop to get up to it. So I'm basically saying that okay with the changes, but accurate drawings are needed to show the stoops.
Yep.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. And lastly, we have 50 Holbert. This is Ben Normand. And I know what's going on here because I was very involved with this years ago, or it was only, I don't know what it was, but this was approved earlier. And I'm going to abstain from talking about this one, except to introduce it. So it was approved in 2014, just like this. And you can see, I can explain the difference. This is a little different. The massing is identical. The doors have changed. And Ben brought the shingle line straight across
Oh, I remember.
to show it as, like that, instead of it dropping down following the grade. And the doors now have lights in them. He dropped a window. I think there's a window here. So
And this is on the street, right? There's like a little, isn't there a thing there now?
it's right on the street. And there's a little
It's
thing.
replacing that little thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's what's getting moved, demoed?
Yeah. I don't
Was
know
that
if we're-
approved?
If it was, it's a different application. I think it was. I think that went on to the consent list.
Oh, okay. So what's proposed is that what you just showed us.
Yeah, and it's basically a reapproval of a lapsed approval with some minor changes to it.
Which is just basically not having the shingles go all the way down.
And the change to the door.
And what's the? Oh, with the door didn't have glass in it before?
Correct. It was just battens.
Can you go back to the picture of that from number 4? Thank you. Is it a mixture of 2/2s and 6/2?
This looks like 1/1s.
Oh, okay. It must be, oh, it's the shutters. But on the side,
And then here's some 6/. It's a
Something.
mixture.
and the existing is just battens right now too.
So I'll note what you guys say, but I'm not going to say anything.
Can you go back to the original approval? Sorry. I think I think that's what I want. I think I prefer the battens without the glass, just because it's so close to the street. But that's.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I think I need to get off of this today. This is too many agreements between the two of us.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. All right. No glass in the door, in the garage doors.
Yeah. And on the west elevation, I think I kind of like the shingle moving with the grade.
Because that's facing towards the house, right?
It is, but it's visible as you're coming
Yeah, yeah.
along the street. I just, that amount of concrete just makes the building feel tall.
But then don't you have to bring the shingle down in the front, because isn't the exposed around the garage, around the
Yeah,
door?
well, somewhere in between that would be nice. But I think as proposed, that shingle line is pretty high up, even next to the garage doors. Did you go to the,
I got confused with what I was looking at on the drawings to
all
start.
right. So you see how high the shingle line is there everywhere? To me,
And it's above the, yeah, so it should cut,
I think just halfway down, just to knock off some of that concrete would be great.
like kind of almost like where the line is in the garage door.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Oh my God.
You're saying down here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. So maybe 30 inches lower, 2 feet lower?
Yes. I would say 32 inches lower.
Okay.
Whatever halfway is between grade and current shingle line is what it should be.
on the west and the north,
Yeah, on the west and the north, correct.
and
So-
solid batten doors.
And solid batten doors.
Right. So why isn't it on the east? Oh, the east has got, it's built up grade here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's retained.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll note that. And that I abstain from that. Okay. That is it. So Ann Duez was also going to present her spa and hot tub article to us today, as she was going to last week, but because Lucy and Angus aren't here, I think she's decided to do it later on, probably next week. So we'll again put that off to our next agenda.
Do we have next week? Only because it's Patriots Day. I didn't know if that was the town,
Yeah, that's a good question.
because I will not be available because I have a specialist coming to work with me on something, so I won't be available.
That's, I gotta think. So is the town, our town offices closed on Patriots Day?
Massachusetts holiday, Massachusetts public offices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so
absolutely,
too.
yeah.
So I think it's pretty likely, maybe we could meet. I think we're fairly far ahead anyway. I'll try to scope that out and see if maybe if we feel comfortably ahead, then let's just not meet. If we're worried that some things are going to come up, maybe I'll try to reschedule it for Tuesday, the following day.
That'll
Yeah,
work.
well, yeah, she's here all week, so I might not be available, but there's other people who are probably available. so-
Right.
So what's the, under other business, it says discussion of HDC's April 12th meeting.
You know, that's something I put on probably about 6 or 7 agendas ago, because I wanted to talk about an issue that I thought the HDC was it was sort of an organizational type of a issue rather than a application. So I asked Esmeralda to put that on, and she's bumped it forward each week, changing the date. And I just left it there because we could use it or not. So it's just an open-ended comment. It's not doing us any harm. The one we probably ought to deal with is the lighting provision.
Huh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there it is. So we'll address that one someday. So I think that's it on the agenda, unless somebody has something to bring up.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Please help me, help me. The windows in my house was built in 1835 or 33. The front windows out on Union Street are the old windows, 6/6, that are like 15 inches tall and 11 inches wide. They're huge. Therefore, you can't get them anymore. One of them is slowly disintegrating. And who is the person to take a window to and say, fix it? Do you know? Have you got somebody?
Well, Diane, I'd be happy to just pop by and take a look at it. And it might just be that a skilled mill worker like Chris Boak could do something about it, or it could be something more involved.
Yeah, anytime. Brooke, come and look, because the glass is falling out
Mhm.
of the window, and we're trying to catch the whole thing, and we having difficulty opening it, and my son's going to be here this weekend, and I was going to hope that he, with my other grandsons, could get it open, but I feel it has to be fixed, and I didn't know I can't afford to have one built.
Yeah.
So I was hoping
Diane?
that we could, yeah.
Is it just the sash, or is the whole frame rotted too?
It's the window itself. I don't think the frame is rotted, but we will find out if we can get the window up. It's on the north side of the house.
Mhm.
And it's been painted and stuff. I haven't let it go like that, but the windows are behind storm windows, and I think they sweat. I think the
Mhm.
summertime they tend to sweat or something. But whatever, Brooke, if you come by, give me a call.
Yeah, actually, how about this? I'll just pop down there right after this meeting.
All right. That would be wonderful. Just come in the front door
Okay.
and walk straight through to the kitchen, and there I'm sitting squalor.
Okay.
Okay?
All
That
right.
would be wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right.
Good.
Thanks, guys. And we need to talk about that lighting business sometime before we get any more pools.
Yeah, Brooke, I think Brooke, you were working on that.
Yeah, it's on my plate.
Okay, thanks. I'll
Not
leave it there.
working on it, but it is
Yeah.
there.
Okay, well, let's talk again about it next time.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so I think we're done with the agenda. Is there a motion to accept the comments?
So moved.
And seconded by
second.
Jason. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Brooke, aye.
And motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Brooke, aye. All right. Thank you, Mr. Rowland.
Thank you, guys. We'll see
Bye.
you.
Thank you. See you
Bye.
next week or whenever.
Yep.